When I'm not learning from other YouTubers effective strategies on how to talk to a camera, I like to answer questions that I get on YouTube. So let's get to it. Hey Sean and everyone in the comment section, have you ever had any injuries from practicing? I played the piano too much and my thumbs decided to go on a 5-week holiday. I never thought this could happen. It really wasn't worth it. You know, I've been pretty lucky. I haven't had really any serious injuries. Now, the one thing that has happened to me, if I'm playing a lot, the tip of my middle finger on my fretting hand, there's some kind of like nerve thing that gets like triggered every now and then. That happens maybe once a year, and then I just take like a couple days off, and it's fine. But really, the number one rule is that if something's hurting you, stop doing it. Like, especially beginners, I think, like, if they try to force bar chords too much, they almost always try to get that death grip on it, and that can really kind of create a lot of stress in your hand. And especially another thing that I see beginners do a lot is if they're trying to make a bar chord or even just like play like a scale, their thumb, a lot of people's thumb kind of like drastically separates from their fingers when you want to kind of have it more in line, right? So having your thumb out this far creates like a lot of tension in here. So that is a recipe for injury. But yeah, I've never really experienced that too much. Now, if I play bass a lot, because sadly I don't play bass as much as I should, but every now and then I'll get picked up for like a bass gig or something like that. And if there's like rehearsal and we're like really going at it and I'm playing bass every day, then my fingers just start to like blister from actually like hitting the strings a lot because I don't keep doing it enough to get calluses or just get used to it. So it's always worth it though because I love playing bass live. But other than that, really no injuries to speak of. Have you tried the Taylor GS Mini? If not, you definitely need to give it a look. Small guitar, easy to play, nice price, and good quality sound. Personally, I thought the Koa version, but I also like the warmth of the mahogany too. GS Mini is an absolutely awesome guitar. It actually is kind of amazing how full it sounds for being like technically a miniature guitar. So it's not like super mini, it's not like novelty mini size, but it is a lot smaller than a full size acoustic. I swear by them. They're, you know, a lot of the Taylors, they're not super cheap, but I definitely think they're worth it. I haven't played the Koa one, but one of my students has a mahogany one, and it is excellent. So I put my full endorsement behind the Taylor GS Mini. You can't fake blues, mother. Blues for real people, not posers. I thought about maybe trying to have a comeback for this salty blues comment of the week, but then you look at his avatar and the name Classic Boss, and I mean that's actually pretty awesome, and I'm just gonna take that one. Very impressed at your channel. Wanted to take a moment to let you know that I appreciate the lessons. Wish I could get some in-person lessons for you. The playing portion of guitar is starting to come into view for me. One thing that I'd like to hear your opinion on is tone, acoustic tone or electric guitar and amp tone, how the two can complement each other, or if they cannot complement each other. So, alt-rock fan with the shins, what is your top 5? The pursuit of tone is a legendary pursuit and endeavor that cannot be boiled down to answering in this QA, so I am hoping to get some more kind of tone videos out there soon. But as far as my top 5 alt-rock bands, I can definitely help you out there. And this goes by my own loose definition of what I consider an alt-rock band. Like, I don't consider Muse or Queens of the Stone Age as alt-rock. This is more like rock to me, or else they'd be in there. So I'm omitting them just for genre reasons that have nothing to do with any actual genre rules, just my own personal opinion. So I'm going to do you one better. Because I subscribe to going above and beyond on this channel, I'm going to name you my top 5 alt-rock bands and my favorite song and my favorite album from each one of them, all right? So first of all, I'll just start at the top. A lot of you won't be surprised. Radiohead is my #1 favorite band probably of all time, so also my top alt-rock band. Hail to the Thief is my favorite album, which is kind of an unpopular opinion among Radiohead fans. And Airbag is my favorite song by Radiohead. #2, I'm going to say is Incubus. I'm not sure if they're alt-rock, but I'm counting it. And my favorite Incubus album is Morning View, and I think my favorite Incubus song is Circles off of Morning View. #3, I'm going to say is The Shins. Favorite album would be Wincing the Night Away, and my favorite song would be Pink Bullets. #4 is St. Vincent. My favorite album by Annie Clark is Actor, and I'm going to say my favorite song is Human Racing. And #5, The Decemberists. My favorite album is probably Picaresque. Not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. And favorite track will go with The Engine Driver, something like that. Are most guitar solos improvised? What concepts do I need to learn to be able to improvise a solo? On an unrelated note, what are your thoughts on Dave Matthews as a guitarist? Now, this is kind of interesting, and I'd be interested to hear your feedback too, because me as a player, I'm not the best improvisational solo player. I mean, I can do it, but if I improv, it almost always kind of sounds kind of the same, with a few exceptions and stuff. I'm of the mindset where I like writing solos and kind of like having time to kind of like maybe feel my way through a chord progression and kind of just loop it and go over it. And then what I'll do is I'll have like a loose solo kind of like written ahead of time, and then I'll improvise within the framework of that type of thing. And I guess just kind of like when I see it, and I think on some of the Parador songs, I did the video lessons for them. Sometimes I kind of talk about more of the specifics of that kind of stuff. But basically, the way I kind of see it is maybe I'm following the chords arpeggio style, and then maybe sliding into like a pentatonic shape, stuff like that. It's really, for me, just kind of writing it and then using my ear to play and improvise within the framework of what I've already written. Now, I know a lot of players are straight up improvised, like Jimmy Page. He would just, I heard he improvised the Stairway to Heaven solo. Like, he just like went through and did different takes of the Stairway to Heaven solo and just like picked one that sounded good. He had no idea what he was doing. That kind of blows my mind. I am definitely not on the level where I can be creative enough to do stuff on the fly. But then like Ian, another guitar player, he's all about improvisation, and that's kind of more of how he thinks. So I can't speak for everybody, just for myself, and I kind of like having a framework of what I'm gonna do and then kind of improvise within that. Because if you're just playing the exact same thing every time, I think that can be kind of like a little dull. And that's like the cool thing about like seeing guitarists live, because for the most part, they're usually playing something a little bit different than maybe what you've heard on an album. And it just kind of gives them a chance to expand what they were trying to do while kind of staying within the framework of, I guess, what they think like the essence of a guitar solo is. And Dave Matthews, awesome guitar player and very influential for me personally as far as learning different chord voicings when I was starting out. Because I think when he was at his peak popularity was about the same time I was just kind of picking up guitar. And just seeing kind of chords like, just kind of like those voicings I wouldn't see in any other songs I'd listen to. So I think he's a very creative, rhythmic guitar player that has a lot of cool chord voicings. I don't really listen to a lot of Dave Matthews anymore, but definitely a solid guitar player. Hey Sean, we haven't seen Justin on your channel for a while. Is it a split due to musical differences, or, as you have got a whole Dexter vibe about you, should we be more concerned? So yeah, Justin finally crossed me, and I had to murder him and throw him into the sea. But hopefully we'll be having Ian on the channel more to take his place, as long as he doesn't cross me. Didn't know that you could play the drums. How did you go about learning and really understanding odd time signatures as a drummer? I've had a lot of trouble with keeping track of the time signatures in my head while playing. I think this question can be applied to anything. Like once you start playing with odd time signatures, and I personally don't think of 3/4 or a waltz as an odd time signature, even though technically it is. I think of like 5/4, 7/4, 13, stuff like that. And it was definitely a challenge, especially being able to play and sing an odd time signature at the same time. What I really found helped me was breaking up that odd time signature into stuff I was more familiar with. So, like for example, that song Overcast we did. That's in 5/4, but at the time, I was thinking of it as 3 and 2, and that was a lot easier for me to kind of comprehend instead of like counting to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'd break it into a 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's really no difference, but at first, it just really helped me get my head around counting to 5 by breaking it up into 3 and 2. Some people break it up into 4 and 1. Some people can do 5 really easy, and it's not a big deal. But for me, when I'm playing, drums or even guitar and like trying to sing at the same time, it's always better for me to break down a complex time signature into smaller pieces and count it that way. For your next question time, consider this discussion. Why has musical academia placed more emphasis on the written score and audiation than on actually playing the music? Is it nothing more than elitism? After all, the real joy in music is in the playing and listening. Perhaps joy is not one of their objectives. This is a pretty interesting question that I think is valid. I do think, though, if we're coming at this question as guitar players, we kind of have a different view of it because tablature is such a prevalent alternative to reading sheet music when you're looking at like a score or something, that we kind of don't live in the same mindset as like a piano player or a saxophone player or something who really, I think they kind of have to rely on sheet music because the resources aren't as readily available as a system like tablature is. But there also is something to, you know, the elitism of academia and kind of how they approach different things. Now, also in my experience, it hasn't been the classical musicians who I have personally encountered as elitist musicians, although I have encountered my fair share of them. It's really been like the high-level blues players that I've always gotten like a huge whiff of elitism from, which blows my mind because blues is such like a communal genre that you wouldn't think it would be that way, but it kind of is. So as to why universities and stuff are more focused on the scoring of it, I think it's just because it's more of like a great thing that you can combine for any instrument or vocal or anything like that too. Now, I do think that Jeff's got a really good point in that it should be more about your ear and your ear training, just being able to play and like the playing of it. I've known people who have graduated from music school, and some of them are fantastic, like just ridiculous otherworldly players, and some of them are like, you graduated from music school? Like you can't really play that well. Like you would think that like graduating from music school you'd be able to be like a really good player, but I think that just comes down to like the individual and like their drive within it. So to that point, I think, yeah, maybe some of it should be more focused on playing, but also too, I never went to music school, so this is just kind of all just secondhand information that I'm working with. If any of you have attended any kind of music school, please feel free to chime in the comments. So kind of on the topic of alt-rock bands, I want to throw you for listening homework this week to a band called Wild Beasts, a band that has not gotten a lot of publicity, but I think it's like a pretty cool album. Very alternative. They got a cool kind of different sound. So check this song out, and definitely let me know what you think. Any questions or comments, hit me up in the comments on Twitter, Instagram, the website, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks.